to Dubai World Trade Center. For those of you that are in the room, and I believe over 70 countries worldwide, it's my pleasure on behalf of Messe Frankfurt to welcome you to today's session. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ted Bloom. I'm the Regional CEO for Messe Frankfurt Middle East. And what I haven't told anybody is that it's always been my dream to be a newscaster, but I want to make it very clear that isn't why we came up with this concept of creating a studio today, because I'll be in all sorts of trouble with Frankfurt if that were the case. What we are here to do is to create a platform where online and in room we give you an update as to Messe Frankfurt Middle East, our shows, and Dubai as a wider community. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you who registered and sent the questions which have actually allowed us to create content which is relevant to all of you here today. I wasn't so grateful last night at midnight while we were trying to align what you asked against the content, but at the same time it has meant that the schedule will be very direct and hopefully answer a lot of the questions that you might be asking. How are we going to do that? Well, first of all, His Excellency Issam Kazim is going to come up and talk to us about Dubai, what's going on, where we're heading today and in the future. After that, we're going to have Diego Cortese from Dubai World Trade Center. You've asked some specific questions around security, visas, and other venue-related topics, which we're happy to answer, or Diego is very happy to answer. After which, I'm going to take you through what Messe Frankfurt are doing holistically, and then our CCO, Flynn, will take you through a health check of all the shows from now until January, focusing on the major ones, which are Beauty World, Automechanica, and Intersec. After that, the wonderful Katie is going to host a panel where we're going to look at holistically what's happening with the Dubai economy, and then also within the key verticals that we operate. From the get-go, I think it's important for me to just highlight some context. The context for me is really driven by the fact, as Messe Frankfurt, I'm always proud of the fact that I work for a company that's been running trade shows for nearly 800 years. 1240 being when Frederick II did the first autumn fair in Frankfurt. How have we survived that long, and not only survived, but thrived? It's really three core values which live with us today, which is our people are the priority, we always innovate, we're always honest and respectful. They're the three things that we do, and they're driven across the Messe Frankfurt enterprise, both locally and worldwide. What does that mean? Well, in the last 90 days, our people have been the priority. We've done a lot of engagement, we've done a lot of taking care of our people, made sure they're safe and secure, with the support of the government. That has meant that we've done probably more innovating in the last month, because as the bouncers come back, people want to actually get involved, engage, not only hold on to what we've got, but evolve what we've got and make it even better. When it comes to the honesty and respect, guys, we're not here today to sell anything to you. That's not what this is about today. It's about giving you a true picture of what's going in Dubai, on our shows. And specifically, there is an elephant in the room. I recently went to Frankfurt and did a presentation to some of you international sales partners who are online today. And one of the things that I'll always remember, things were said to me that have never been said to me since I used to go out in Birmingham as a 19-year-old, and my dad used to say to me, "It's good to see you alive." And how on earth did you get here? Well, first off, I think that, from a safety perspective, I've always felt safe in Dubai, and having a young family, that's important to me, and it's important to highlight that. I think when you think about how I got there, I actually got there on Emirates, which was a surprise to some of the international sales partners. And bear in mind, some of them are online, they're relatively intelligent people as well. But it's kind of scary to think about what the perception was of what was going on against the reality. And when I went home last week during the Eid holidays, and I sat with my 85-year-old mum, and she said to me, "What's been the most difficult thing for you to get through over the last 90 days? And I said to her, from a personal perspective, family. She said, "Well, it must be difficult having a 3-year-old and a wife." And I said, "I'm not talking about the family in Dubai, I'm talking about the family back home." Because the fear that they had, driven by what they were seeing. I can give you one classic example. I was playing paddle with our CFO, Ben. I had 4 missed calls from my mum because she was so afraid of what she was seeing online. Whereas actually the reality was she was just getting in the way of my paddle, which is not something that's good. And I think, paddle is a big thing for all of us, many of us in the room now these days. To that end, when you think about what the challenge has been for the business, it's been about managing consistently when we've got so many inconsistencies. We're blessed at Messe Frankfurt that we have over 40 nationalities work for us across the 200 staff. All of them have had different life experiences during the last 90 days especially, and all of them have different personalities, which is something we embrace. What we've tried really hard to do as a company is actually recognize what people are going through and adapt according to each individual need. And I think that's something now that we want to manifest itself in how we talk to our clients, our key stakeholders, our suppliers, to make sure this is a journey we go on together. So this is not us telling you this is what we're going to do. We're going to shape the future together, because that's what makes Dubai great, guys. That's what makes it so brilliant, and that's what's made us brilliant as a company at Messe Frankfurt Middle East. In closing, what I would like to say is that I feel it's an honor to be here today in front of so many of you giving this address and hosting this session, because I think it's important to give you a true picture of what's happening. The 28th of February did happen, and we're never ever going to pretend it didn't happen, because that would be a slight on the brave men and women, many of them who worked during the holy month of Ramadan to protect us all. But what I would like to say, the reality today is that I can tell you, the airport is busy, the malls are super busy, the roads maybe not quite as busy, but there will be a normality, which is already here for us as residents. And we're excited to take you through a journey today which shows you the reality of what we all live through today and where it's going to take us in the future. To start that off, I'd like to welcome His Excellency Issam Kazim, Chief Executive Officer of Dubai Corporation for Tourism and Commerce Marketing, up to the stage. And as he makes his way up to the stage, a short video to show you what we're living through in Dubai and what that means to us all today. Thank you.
Dubai. We're in Dubai with
Dubai.
Dubai. We like Dubai.
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 دبي تشرح خاطرك لو تجيها نسناس جو بلادي اسميه نسناس.
That's been living here and enjoying the stability, the security, the prosperity.
I suggest everyone focus on mental health, on really being emotionally present with their families at the moment.
I respect everyone is on the field. Like, for example, my wife went to the garage, with the kids because she was so scared.
ولا تشلون هم.
من يشيل الهم في ظل الفلاحي الوطن والشعب في أيدي أمينة وين ما كانوا وفي كل النواحي.
قد ايه حلو، شو هالإحساس المهم إنه الواحد يكون سيف بمحل ما هو عايش.
في دول تستضيفك وفي دول تتبناك.
A few things. First of all, we're okay. Everything's under control.
And if you look at the road, this is Sheikh Zayed Road right now, and you can see the traffic on the road.
And there's nowhere else I would rather be than here in Dubai, in the UAE.
The Dubai government and the UAE are doing everything they can to make all of their residences feel safe.
But I feel safe because I trust the government. So Dubai, thank you very much.
علاج نفس همها محتديها كأنه عطر بنت لها قد مياس.
Consider me an Emirati because I'm here to stay. And come visit me, Habibi. I think you'll find it a beautiful place as well.
And ultimately for me, I'm all in on UAE, not because of all the flashy stuff, but how the people come together and the leadership responds in times of uncertainty.
احنا في دبي يا جماعة، بلد الأمن والأمان. عايش فيها سنين أنا وولادي، ما تحصلش فينا أي مكروه.
This is what Dubai is to me. It's generous, it's kind, it's supportive, it's a genuine community. Like, we have so much trust in each other, and people don't understand the love people have for this country.
Your Excellency, welcome. I know it's a busy time for you. I hope you and your family got some sort of break during Eid.
Yes, we did. And first of all, Ted, I want to thank you for hosting such an amazing event. It gives me great pleasure to be here with you all and hopefully share some of the facts, the realities of what's going on here in the city in Dubai, what we're working on with our partners to make sure that Dubai continues and remains as safe as it has always been.
And I think for me, having worked for Dubai World Trade Center, it is clear, having been through the pandemic while I was at DWTC, this is not Dubai's first rodeo when it comes to challenge and adversity. What kind of learns do you think we've had in the past, and how is that likely to help shape our future in a positive sense?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look back, not so distant past, well, depending on how old you are, the financial crisis in 2008 was one. You had the COVID crisis, of course, the pandemic that we all went through. You had even the more recent one with the floods in 2024, and each one of them had a different avenue, a different journey that we had to go through. But I think what was important in all of them is that how Dubai bounces back, and we always bounce back stronger than ever before. So if you look at 2008, the financial crisis, what we learned very quickly from that is that the economic reinvention is not a strategy per se, it's more of a, I would say, survival requirement, right? And the way that D33 agenda is designed is exactly with that in mind. And if you look at what happened during COVID, right? When everybody else paused, Dubai accelerated. You see with the policy, the regulations, the changes that were made, the way that the community came together and we drove that forward, we really personified that it is an opportunity for us to do something new. With every challenge, we really look at those opportunities that come amongst us, right? And then you look at what we're going through today. Today, I would say it's almost like a, it's not like a crisis per se, right? It's an event. It's an event that we're going through, and the way that we're designed, the way that we have developed our own community and our own plans, we have much bigger things in mind. And I can assure you that we are looking already at bouncing back stronger than we're leaving it off.
Yeah, and you just mentioned D33, which obviously for all of us who live locally, we know what D33 is. Could you just, for the international audience particularly, just what is D33, and is it being changed or altered due to the current situation, or is it something that remains as it is?
Look, the overall plan remains the same, right? The idea was simply launched in 2033. It was the next decade of Dubai. It's about what does the next 10 years look like and what the mandate would be. And the idea was to double the economy to reach 32 trillion dirham by 2033. And we're also looking at becoming the top 3 cities in the world when it comes to live, to work, and to invest in. We have over 100 transformative projects that had already started, and they're continuing. They're well on the way as well. For there's a lot of that really contributes towards bringing the city up to the next level and to the next future. So when we started off our own transformation when it came to tourism in 2014, we had seen a massive growth in growing number of visitors, growing the length of stay, spend within the GDP and within the city as well, and also increasing repeat visitation. And during that journey, we then merged the Departments of Economy and Tourism, and today we've launched the D33 strategy, and we're well on the way to achieve those goals as well.
And how important are trade shows?
Trade shows are massively important, because if you look at how the strategy itself aligns, for example, when we're talking about logistics, we're talking about manufacturing, we're talking about so many different elements that have been the successful backbone of Dubai's history, historical growth. MICE has always played a fundamental role in that as well, right? Because it is literally bringing in the best of the best people over here, bringing the greatest minds, bringing the greatest innovations, bringing in the people who will help us continue this journey forward as well. So I think for us, if you look at the D33 alignment with the growth that we're planning for the city as a whole and how that impacts MICE, right? So let's think about it for a second from a perspective of the agenda of growth of the economy, right? We're talking about the D33 strategy of doubling the GDP. But then that's also complemented by the 2040 urban master plan that Dubai has announced as well. And that's also growing the population of the city from 3.5 million to about 7+ million. We're talking about more investment within the education sector, within health and healthcare and well-being. We're talking about even infrastructure investments as well. That takes us to the airport. If you look at the announcements of the airport itself, there's about a 35 billion dirham investment that's going, $1 investment that's going into the expansion of, creation of the new airport, which will become the future of Dubai's growth. 5 runways, 400 gates, ultimately catering to 260 million passengers going through those doors. So if you do the simple maths of the population that's growing, the transient traffic as well as the visiting population as well, so the opportunity for MICE to grow in terms of its visitor numbers as well is massive.
Yeah, and having just bought a house in Al Fajjan, it's quite exciting to me to be near the airport because it might increase the value of my property as well down the line.
Exactly.
And Is there anything you would say to international sales partners? Because obviously, it's not that confidence has disappeared, but it was somewhat eroded, particularly in the short term. That's what I felt when I was in Frankfurt. What do you think in the short term we're doing to actually remove that erosion of confidence, and what can people look forward to as they return?
I think, look, from our side, we've seen that as well from a tourism perspective as well, right? So we've been focusing a lot on making sure that we are getting involved a lot more in the comms, making sure that the right messages are going out, leveraging a lot of the private sector partners, a lot of the international firms that are based out of Dubai to actually speak about what they're seeing, the life, as you mentioned, that we live in our day-to-day. And I think what's important to highlight over there is that what has happened during this period of time. So if you look in Q1, we had over 170 billion dirham worth of transactions in terms of real estate transactions that have taken place, right? So that's not slowing down. You're talking about since March till today, you have over 16,000 new business licenses that have been issued. So there's more businesses coming in rather than not. So I think there's a lot that's happening from that perspective that's important for people to note. And what's also important is that when people do come to Dubai, that sense of optimism that they always felt is still there. Yeah. You can see things are up and running. The shops, the malls, hospitality, businesses. Everyone is business as usual as far as anyone's concerned, right? Hotels are getting full from domestic tourism, and slowly seeing more tourists coming in as well. Restaurants are full as well. So life is literally normal. And I think it's only when people do visit Dubai that first time that they realize that things are normal. Now, what we're definitely working on is, and what doesn't help, is when you see travel advisories, right? The travel advisories usually what gives people that misinformation about the current situation on ground. But I think, again, working well with the travel trade partners, with partners such as yourself and your partners abroad who are connected virtually, is for them to realize that it is genuinely, life is as normal as it has ever been.
Yeah, we were discussing earlier, coming back during Eid Sunday, the airport was definitely back to normal. I think Diego went through the same thing, which I've never been so delighted to be waiting for transport in my entire life, I can tell you. So I think it's a very positive thing. And for us as Messe Frankfurt Middle East, a lot of our subsidiaries are still trying to get back to pre-COVID levels, which I know in Dubai we find very difficult to kind of empathize with, because everything here is so fast, where we've doubled our revenues since 2019 to where we are today. How confident are you that this momentum isn't going to get broken? And what opportunities do you think do lie ahead for international companies that do visit Dubai?
I think, look, I'm very, very confident in that sense, right? Again, the track record is there and it has proven. And it's not just a one-off that has happened. And I think people are starting to realize that whatever happens in Dubai is not by chance. It's something that's worked on by design, and it's happened time and time again. Every single time. I mean, less so today than before, but you'd have headlines that are saying like, okay, Dubai was there, it was just a blip, it was just a moment in time, and now it's gone, and Dubai comes back stronger, right? And as I mentioned, during the crises before in the past, every single time there's been a stronger bounce back than ever before, and I'm confident it's going to happen again today, because the basis or the foundation that's built on today is far stronger than it was back when things started. So we're not looking at a February date, we're looking well beyond that as well. So for us, it's about how can we make sure that we continue that momentum that we had seen that has brought us into 2026. If you look at 2025 alone, we were coming back of a back-to-back growth years as well. Yeah. We had seen over 5% growth. If you look at the last quarter of 2025, it was actually almost 6.5% growth, which was almost double the growth that the global average. So it shows you that there is a fundamental foundation that exists for Dubai, for the city to keep growing further. And what's more important is that the way that Dubai reacts to things. So if you look at the operational time of the airport as well, right? So even during the peak times of, let's say, the current existing crisis, if Dubai's airports were down, they would shut down for 15 minutes, half an hour max, and they're immediately back up and running, and things are going back to normal. Because we are used to that agility. The way that the city works together. I mean, your experience with Dubai World Trade Center, right? Yeah. And that's not a corporate philosophy within DWTC itself. It's literally how the leadership of the city works. It's very transparent, making sure that all the communication that goes throughout the system, it cascades all the way through. So everyone is focused on making sure that they are achieving their goals within their bottom line and their end of year goals as well.
Yeah. And just in closing, obviously our task, I'd like to think we've had something to do with the growth as well. We will be creating world-class experiences from Beauty World in October through to our first Dubai Exhibition Centre show in Auto Mechanica. And then we obviously have Intersect as a security event, which is even more important come January. What international visitors going to experience when they come back to the city?
I think they will see a city that's not only what they left when they were last here, but even a city that continues to thrive, right? And especially as you mentioned, Automechanica in November at DEC, at the Dubai Exhibition Center, it's going to be a debut event, right? And it's going to be a new venue, bigger, and in terms of its capacity, the location, the whole system that's running around it will show people that Dubai does not stop, right? And for us, even during any of these moments, you will see that just because, for example, things are a bit quieter, RTA is doubling down on making sure that they're expanding on the roads. So they've actually brought forward a lot of the projects that they had planned for 26 and 27 because they want to capitalize on this opportunity to make sure that we continue to build towards a much stronger future as well. So I think for them, when they come down to Dubai, they will notice that maybe them not being here, let's say during this period of time, is something that they were missing out on, right?
Yeah.
The sense of optimism, the sense of success, the sense of actually belonging, the community that have been the backbone again of the city of Dubai, whether it's a private and public sector partnership or the community of 200 nationalities that have chosen Dubai to be home. They have really been, I would say, the voices of Dubai, speaking to their counterparts around the world, telling them about, guys, it is business as usual, whether it's playing paddle or going shopping or just enjoying some downtime with their family in Dubai as well. So I think they will notice that it is genuinely as business as usual as it can be.
And I really thank you for your time, because I know it's a super busy time at the moment, particularly post the Eid week. But we're really excited, and we always appreciate the partnership approach. So on behalf of our global CEO, he just wanted to offer his thanks for your time. And we're super excited about the future and look forward to working with you to create even better show experiences.
And actually, on behalf of Dubai as well, I want to thank you all for the work that you've been doing. I mean, this is a business relationship that's been running for many, many years. The communities that you have brought here, that now they have become part of Dubai's fabric as well, they continue to not just thrive from a personal level, but also from a business and community level as well. So I think I want to thank you guys for that as well.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I know it looks like Diego's waiting to do the weather forecast, but he's actually here to talk about Dubai World Trade Center and some of the initiatives we'll be rolling out as partners. Thank you, Diego.
Thank you, Ted. So I'll give you the Dubai World Trade Center perspective, because I think every organizer that works with us, or by extension the sales partner that work with some of the shows that we have online today, all have one question in mind, is how are we going to pull it off, starting the event and resuming the event as early as end of August. So we draw a lot of parallel between the current situation and the COVID crisis, and I think the consequences of it are very similar, as it brought our industry almost to a standstill, and created a lot of uncertainty as to how we rebound from there and how we're able to organize the events. But the way we are addressing it is probably slightly different. But one thing which is in common is that it's exactly the same team at Dubai World Trade Center or within the Dubai government authorities that are going through the same journey. So COVID now almost feels like a rehearsal for the crisis that we have to deal right now. And that means that the minute we had to take action, we knew exactly what to do. There was no second guessing. And the outcome of this will look different, but we knew exactly what direction we had to take and how we had to step in to support all the stakeholders within the industry. So to cover specifically some of the concerns that you guys have, let me start talking first about visa processing, because you've asked how are we going to make sure that people can come and participate to the events. So besides the travel advisory and the insurance problem, which the government stakeholders are working on a government-to-government basis, so I will let that aside. But today, the flights from Emirates are operating at probably around 80–85% of their route network and capacities. So there is the possibility to connect. And Ted, as you mentioned before, we went through this journey over the weekend, and it was chock-a-block at the airport. Now, in terms of support that Dubai World Trade Center will provide, is we are going to operate exactly business as usual. So we will continue to support the organizers by processing and facilitating the process with the local authorities to process the visas for specific exhibitors or stakeholders that need to come and attend the event. So the same process will be in place, and we will facilitate the entire process. In terms of security-specific measures, some of you might be aware, we work very closely for every single event with the government authorities, Dubai Police, Civil Defense, the RTA. So there's a committee that gets together called the Event Committee and decides on all the critical city factors that relate to security, access, traffic, etc. for every single event. We are continuing to operate in the same fashion. So as we get closer to the event, we will deploy the security measures that are deemed necessary for conducting these events. We've had already, during the last few weeks, events. We had corporate events with SAP taking place at DEC, and there was no specific security measure in place. So really, this is assessed on a case-by-case basis, and it's managed exactly the same way as it's always been managed. Third point that I wanted to cover was the readiness of Dubai Exhibition Center, because Automechanica is moving there as a first-time mover at the end of the year. To echo what Issam has just been saying, we are pushing through full throttle with the investment, and there is no delay in the delivery right now of Dubai Exhibition Center. So the milestone of getting the expanded venue handed over at the end of this month is happening. So we're getting the official handover from our real estate team. So the venue will be ready with the halls and the parking, the extended parking facilities for all the Q4 events taking place there. And now, in terms of services, capacity, approach, because we've gone through the COVID crisis, we are making sure that we're not repeating the same mistakes. So we are maintaining the exact service level. As of today, all of our staff are fully operational, and we will be ready for the spike in utilization that we're expecting starting from September. So all of the events that haven't happened in Q2 and have been, for the majority, pushed to the start of Q4 will result in an increase in capacity, increase in utilization, especially in the month of September, a little bit in the month of October at the Dubai Exhibition Center, and in the month of December. So we are making sure that all of our staff has taken all of their holidays throughout now what is considered the low season, and everybody is back in action to support the spike in utilization moving to Q4. And all together, as of the beginning of this week, we are anticipating that the impact on the utilization of both the venue is going to be in the range of -5% to -7%. So in the books, we see a lot of events taking place in Q4, a lot more than had originally been scheduled, and we will be ready to host these events.
Thank you, Diego. That's really helpful. And I also think it would be remiss at this point not to say what great partners Dubai World Trade Center are and DXB Live for giving us this room and the food and also building the stage set. And partnership is really important. And as I said at the very beginning, for all of our stakeholders, what we as Messe Frankfurt are going to be doing is working in partnership with Dubai World Trade Center to make sure we're very proactive, empathetic and transparent in our partnership. And that means, as His Excellency said, being very candid about what's going on in the city, what's available. As flights reopen, we'll be proactively sharing that information. But I just want to highlight one very, very important thing, is all of those of you who have exhibited with us before, visited our shows, you are our partners. Whatever decision there is this year, this is about a long-term journey and a long-term strategy for Messe Frankfurt. We haven't been doing this for 800 years and the third biggest trade show organizer in the world without good reason. So that's one of the reasons why when we get to October, if the shows are a little bit smaller, that's fine. but we will never ever compromise on creating world-class experiences, because that's what Dubai affords us, and that's what Dubai expects of us, and that's what Frankfurt expects of us. So no matter what the revenues are, you can expect when you go to Beauty World the same amount of stages, intersect the same amount of content. And Automechanica is going through a full evolution to embrace the DEC experience when it moves. So I want to be very clear that we are not going to be looking at short-term profit. We're much more looking about long-term partnerships and growth together. Contracts and payments was another one that you asked us to address. I know that we're still a way out from Beauty World, but it's fast approaching. So one of the things, we have a very, very strong pipeline, and Flynn will take you through this in a minute. And we have a very solid foundation as regards those of you who have booked and those of you who are already committed to coming. You don't have to pay to commit to coming. So what we're going to do is that Flynn and the team and our CFO Ben, who's in Saudi this week, we're going to change our payment terms, which doesn't mean you can just flagrantly decide whether you want to come or not in September, but it is going to mean from a cash perspective, we're not looking for you to pay the deposits maybe you would, particularly on Beauty World. We don't really see that issue with the other shows because they're a way out, and we're very confident they will return. Obviously, if something would change, then we will change. Continuous communication. One of the highlighted elements was definitely logistics. Straits of Hormuz, what's happening with shipping, what's happening with air freight. This needs a specific section. So we're blessed with partners DSV who are going to host a workshop before the end of June where we will address those things specifically for you and go into detail. So that you can actually understand, because there's what the city's doing, but there's also the nuts and bolts are equally important. So we want to make sure we have a workshop, and we'll continue the lines of communication. Flynn's going to take you through the shows, but it's a very quick health check, because obviously not the issue, but one of the challenges of doing it holistically is not all of those of you in the automotive industry want to hear about beauty, and not everybody in beauty wants to hear about security. You might want to, but we're going to do a brief health check, and then Teresa, Nathan and Chris will be doing specific workshops around their own shows and verticals as we move forward. And then we've also agreed to create monthly update communications, and we're going to ask for more questions at the end, and I'll tell you there's going to be a very simple way that you can do that. We're committed to the future, guys. We're blessed to be Messe Frankfurt, and the commitment is very much long-term. And the pleasing thing is now that I'm going to welcome Flynn to the stage, who's going to take you through a health check to the major shows and what we're doing for the rest of the year. Flynn.
Thank you, Ted, and hello to everybody in the room and online. So as Ted has mentioned, we have 5 shows coming up in our Dubai event season. I'm going to be focusing primarily on our 3 big shows, and this is going to give you some context as to where we are in terms of performance to date. So the first show that we have to kick off is Beauty World Dubai on the 6th to the 8th of October here in the Dubai World Trade Center. This is actually the biggest show that we run in Messe Frankfurt. And so if I show you some statistics here, you can see we're currently 18 weeks out to the show. As I said, this is one of our biggest shows where we're looking to close to around 60,000 square meters. And to date, we're about 51% sold. And when I said sold, that's contracts, signed contracts and payments. We have about 706 exhibitors from 46 countries, which is about 70% of the number of countries that we would typically expect at Beauty World Dubai. What does this mean in terms of where would we normally be? We're pacing about 15% behind on where we would be. However, Beauty World did start their campaign 1 month later than usual. And where we're seeing that conversion is a little bit slower is coming from those international pavilions, the ones that are government or trade association funded. There's still a lot of confidence in those individual companies who participate with us. In terms of the pipeline, we talk about what's still to come in. We've got nearly 20,000 square meters in the show that we are currently negotiating on. And as I said, that's really driven heavily by those big international pavilions. I want to call out some of the sectors here because quite a few of the sectors are actually overperforming on prior years. So you can see here fragrance and cosmetics both performing ahead of last year. And supply chain, which is a really important sector for this show, is on par with the prior year. Countries of note that have big participation levels and are growing: South Korea, India, and France. And we also still have a lot of new bookings, new exhibitors that are joining the show. Some names here that a lot of people will recognize: Lush Cosmetics, Makeup Forever, and Beauty of Joseon from Korea. As Ted mentioned, we're all about investing. We will not be cutting corners on these shows no matter what. And this year is actually the 30th anniversary for Beauty World. So there's a lot to celebrate, and we will be continuing that investment. What we've been doing over the last number of years is really focusing on top-level artists and speakers at the show. And that's really to help us drive quality buyers and attendees, and specifically international. The next show on the calendar, as Ted has mentioned, is going to be Automechanica Dubai from the 10th to the 12th of November. And for the first time, we're actually going to be running this show at the new Dubai Exhibition Centre in Expo City. We're 23 weeks out to the show. You can see there we have a target of around 48,000. And we're currently 61% sold of this show, with around 1,500 exhibitors from 38 countries. In terms of how this compares to prior years, we are around 10% behind where we would have been the prior year, but we've seen very steady pacing on our sales every week, which is giving us strong confidence. And the mix at the moment is about 40% domestic exhibitors, 60% international. Pipeline-wise, you can see there we've also got a strong pipeline for this show. And again, that sitting and waiting and a little bit of hesitancy is really driven by those international pavilions. By sector, accessories and customizing is actually performing 31% ahead of prior years. And our very important categories, parts and components, and oils and lubricants, are also on par with prior year. The countries of note where we're seeing a lot of growth and strong commitment are China, Italy, Singapore, and Hong Kong. And you can see there some of our top-tier companies that are already confirmed from the show. In terms of investment, because we're moving to a new venue, we are heavily investing in terms of making sure that transition is a seamless experience for both exhibitors and visitors. And we're also going to be investing in a hosted buyers club to make sure that we bring those top-tier buyers, a C-suite engagement program, and we're also going to be offering more certified training sessions. We then move into January, and there's no rest for the wicked after the Christmas holidays. So from the 12th to the 14th of January here in Dubai World Trade Center, we will have Intersect Global. This is obviously a sector that's very pertinent for the region right now, and we're seeing here with 32 weeks to go, we're currently 50% sold for the show. About 480 exhibitors from 38 countries. And we are pacing a little bit behind prior year there at 17%, but just like Automechanica, the team are seeing a lot of contracts steadily coming through each week. Pipeline there of around 13,000 square meters at the moment, again, heavily weighted with our international pavilions. In terms of the sectors, you can see 44% uptick on national security, which is no surprise, and also surveillance and fire and rescue are also holding steady on prior years. Countries of note, USA with a big presence for 2027, India and the UK. And this is a show that we've earmarked as very important in terms of our investment towards our content. And so we're going to be introducing for the first time in 2027 the World Safety, Security and Resilience Summit. We're also having the emergency response area, our code gridlock area, and we're also going to be launching our new main stage at the show. So those are the three big shows. We don't want to forget we also have Paper World, co-located with Gifts and Lifestyle in October, and we also have Light and Intelligent Building from the 12th to the 14th of January, and that's co-located alongside Intersec. These two shows are trending very similarly to what you have seen when it comes to the three big shows in terms of sales pacing. And when we talk about January, I very excitingly also have some news to announce and share with you all. Tomorrow, myself and some of the team are actually going to be hopping on a flight to Milan to announce the launch of a brand new show that we will be running in January 2027. And so here I'm announcing Notes Dubai, which is a niche fragrance show that we'll be running here from the 21st to the 23rd of January. And we're going to be hosting that for the first time in the new exhibition centre at Dubai Mall. So this is for niche fragrance. We also have a show called Notes Shanghai, obviously in Shanghai, and we are partnering very closely with our team there to deliver a Dubai extension of this. And this is going to be a really interesting show. It's a B to B to C show. So 2 days of trade and 1 day of consumer. And we all know that fragrance is one of the #1 verticals here in this market and in this industry. So this is a very exciting launch for us, a very exciting new product for Dubai, and we look forward to being able to welcome you all very soon. So that is the update when it comes to the shows, but I think what's even more important is to hear a little bit more about the actual market and the verticals that our shows play in and what is actually happening here on the ground. So I'm going to hand over to Katie Chambers, who's going to run us through a panel for the last session of the day. Thanks, Katie.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Flynn. And yes, like Flynn said, we're going to be moving on to our final session of the day, which is a panel which I'll be moderating. And it really is about market readiness, resilience, building that business confidence for that all-important road ahead. We have just heard how Dubai is open, how the future of international events here looks truly exciting, and those market opportunities that come with that. And this final discussion, I think, really brings those themes together, you might say, through the lens of business confidence. I'm joined by four very, very qualified speakers who will each bring a different perspective, everything from sort of the economic lens to infrastructure to consumer markets, but also that private sector trade aspect too. So we have Danielle Hokayem. She is the Fine Fragrance Director for South Asia, Middle East and Africa at Givaudan. We have Hassan Nain Alwan. He is a Managing Director of Mineral Circles Bearings, Euro Dubai, based automotive and industrial parts business operating from Jebel Ali Free Zone. We have Mohammed Salem. He is Security Systems and Consulting Lead at Dubai Security Industry Regulatory Agency, SIRA. And last but by no means least, we have Daniel Richards, Senior Economist at Emirates NBD, focusing on MENA markets. Welcome to each and every one of you, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So I'm going to start with brief questions. Perhaps like I direct all of them, questions are all of you, but first to you, Danielle. Let's start, if I could, with a quick temperature test. What are you seeing? What's the mood amongst your market at the minute?
Well, we see a comeback to normality after quite a shaky period for many consumers and industries, but we see also a continued belief in the capacity of the market, the Middle East, to come back strongly and to continue sustaining its growth and its expansion, not only locally, but worldwide.
So positive from your point of view.
Yes.
And Hassanein, would that mirror your experience?
So I think if we look, because we cater both to the Middle East and Africa, and I think we see more confidence in the Middle East coming back, almost business as normal with the disruption of logistics, but we see the confidence is there. I think where the confidence needs to come in is to more or less on the African customer, as they are still on, let's call them, wait to see. And I think by Q4 they will be already there. And in general, I think we have all been in different crises before. Companies have seen COVID or 2008 crisis and so on. And we know this is like a storm that we have to embrace. And I think companies that are embracing the change, and let's call it the new normal, are able to adapt and move forward. So I see that we are getting over the most difficult part, and I think we are going to more to the positive side of it.
Yes, we heard it earlier. Dubai always bounces back, doesn't it? Mohammed, what's your experience at SIRA?
Actually, I agree with both my colleagues. The mood is positive. Companies are strategically approaching the fast-growing opportunities in terms of events, assessing the situation, and I believe the UAE can always adapt to whatever situation they are in. So I believe in the mood is positive and confident as well.
And Daniel?
Yeah, I think there is some near-term caution for some businesses. Clearly, it has been a challenging time for some sectors, but I would agree with everybody else that broadly the outlook, especially over the next couple of months, is positive. Everyone we speak to really still expects the economy and business to really bounce back stronger than ever, as it has done so many times before.
And what indicators, Daniel, are giving you that sort of, the kind of white, green flags rather, of confidence across the region?
Sure. I think it's worth stressing we really entered this year in a position of strength. So over a weekend, this is a bit backward looking, but we did have the full year GDP growth figures for the UAE come over the weekend. Non-oil growth was 6.8%. So really entering the year on the front foot. And the fact that this growth was so broad-based across a range of sectors, I think is really positive for when you come into experiences like this or circumstances like this, because that kind of diversification gives greater resilience. It's not growth driven by just one or two sectors. The whole economy has really been performing strongly, and that puts it in a good position to kind of weather this storm. And then looking ahead to more near-term indicators, we've had PMI surveys, that's a monthly kind of survey of businesses in the region, in the country. They've softened a bit, but they're still coming out indicating growth. And when you look at business optimism, it is still there. We'd expect that to continue strengthening as conditions continue to normalize. And then when you look as well at some of the sector indices, whether it's airport throughput, as everyone said, that's flowing over the weekend, pretty busy. You look at the numbers, they're really coming back quite strongly as well. And yeah, I think all of these suggest that we are starting to come through this experience already on the front foot.
Okay. Mohammed, could we talk about supporting international business now from your point of view? How does infrastructure that the UAE has, such as aviation, logistics, security, how does that ensure business continuity?
Well, I believe infrastructure is very important. The UAE has invested so much to build an infrastructure that's one of the best in the world. Aviation, you have world-class airports. Logistics, you have a network of transport, ports and free zones. We do not also forget about the security, which is equally important as those two other factors. If you have a secure environment where people need to feel protected, they can happily invest and assess the situation there. Also, what makes the environment secure is what is the government doing in terms of encouraging business owners or business companies, international trade, to bring their business into the UAE. Those three factors, the aviation, the logistics, and the security, they build like one tremendous ecosystem that is built on resilience and the growth of sustainability. Because, as you know, the UAE, there are multiple ways of growth in terms of dealing with trading events and business as well. Okay. I believe this is a very important factor in terms of bringing back those businesses into the UAE.
Yeah, I mean, we only have to look at what His Excellency nodded to earlier about the RTA. If you're a resident here, you'll know that so many roads and junctions popping up in the last few months. The growth really is happening here, and infrastructure is at the centre of that. Danielle, if we move now on to growth in fragrance in your industry, for example, what do you believe will be the biggest drivers of growth over the next 5 years, particularly in this region?
I think the most important factor for growth is consumer demand, because without consumer demand, there is no economy around it. And luckily, we see that it is actually, it keeps on growing. Consumers are in love with fragrances. They keep asking for more. They ask for more quality. They ask for innovation, creativity. And this is what the fragrance industry is actually providing for these consumers. And we see it coming from both the local and regional companies in the Middle East, but also from the local brands, both thriving locally as well as worldwide. So it's something that we are very confident will keep on going. We also see the younger generation more and more interested in the beauty industry and fragrances particularly. And this gives us a lot of hope in the future because we see that their consumption patterns are changing for the better, actually, when it comes to fragrances. Similarly, as well, a very positive factor is innovation in the digital world that is facilitating the access to fragrances and to the products, and which are also helping businesses, especially in times where we face logistical issues, for example, or for example, going out to purchase. Being able to do it online is really facilitating the business very much.
And I'm assuming you've already got your ticket for Beauty World.
Yes, of course. Not only a ticket, a full stand.
Of course, yeah, a huge stand. And that must be a great platform to promote growth, to show the world, what you're doing.
Yes, it's an opportunity to show to the world and to our partners worldwide what we do, how we innovate, how we engage with both our partners, but also with the end consumers, because at the end it is for them that we create. It's also an opportunity to show what the region can do and how we can thrive and how we continue adapting to the needs and to the situations when they arise.
Hassanein, I'm going to move on to you now. Danielle nodded to it in terms of logistics, sometimes being challenging. How has the automotive market fared? How have you adapted in the aftermarket? Where are you seeing growth opportunities emerging there?
Now, I think we have to realize that the disruption of logistics, shipments, and so on, it's there. And we hope it will not continue, but it's becoming the new normal. And if we look at this, I would say with challenges comes also opportunities. If we look at now, there is importing cars are more expensive, takes more time. Some of you that have booked a car that is not yet, which changes the perception of a lot of consumers from replace to repair. So a lot of customers are holding on their cars and they decide to repair their cars, which brings, especially for passenger cars, a lot of opportunity for the aftermarket, especially in fast consumer filters, brake pads, bearings, oil seals, and so on. So I see especially in the GCC, the momentum is there. A lot of people are holding their cars, they decide to repair, and this is bringing the growth on the passenger cars. But on the other side, if we look at commercial cars, we all understand that there is a lot of demand for transportation, trucking from different ports, different areas, different free zone, and this is have not only doubled. I think there is threefold of demands on trucks. Now that brings opportunities for people that are selling to the commercial cars, and we see growth, massive growth on that side. So now, which companies take the advantage of these two growth? I mean, yes, we all want, but not every company is ready. I think, in short, I would say stock is king. So companies that have looked at previous recessions and previous crises and maybe had part of their strategy to grow their stock. This is what we do after 2000, the COVID crisis. We used to run on 3 months, 4 months stock. Now we run 6 to 9 months stock. And we were well prepared. And if we look at companies that took that pathway, they are actually benefiting of the situation because you cannot get new supply, but you have the opportunity to sell. Now, the other aspect which we started to see on consumer and customer are selecting companies that they can rely on, structured companies that have the sales team that they can answer questions. And so I think if I look at companies that have the stock and they have the structure, this is where they are benefiting and catching the growth. And this is how with every challenge there is also opportunities.
Exactly. You learned from your experience of the COVID crisis.
Obviously.
Therefore, you have 9 months of stocking. I'd love to know how much that costs you to do that, but that's a question for another day, and that's the journalist inside me.
Sure.
We've got a couple of minutes left, guys. It'd be nice to just get a final thought from all of you, looking ahead, what you feel the strongest opportunity for growth is over the next 12 months. Danielle, if I could start with you, please.
Sure. So I think agility is really part of the DNA of the Middle Eastern culture, and this is the time to showcase it. And as you rightfully said, with every crisis, there's an opportunity. And we see that now is the time for brands to secure and to strengthen their image to the world and to actually show that they can still deliver superior products, because it's all about product superiority if you want to get to the heart of the consumers. So I believe this is now the time to rethink, readjust the strategies, and really focus on what Middle Eastern fragrance brands do best, is creating perfumes that consumers love.
Hassanein.
So if I look at let's say the coming 12 months, with people doubting on travel and trying to reduce cost, I think one growth aspect is the digital way of doing business. E-commerce, online sales, your salesmen available on different channels. This makes we already see the benefit of something that we started investing, and we continue during this crisis time, is really to invest in our digital platforms, and we think the growth will come from that side, as this is also not a short-term plan, but this is a long-term plan that is being accelerated by the crisis. The same way COVID accelerated the way we communicate and the way we talk, the way we do things. And I think this crisis also have accelerated and giving us the opportunity to adapt and to invest in our digital footprint.
Okay, Mohammed.
Yes, as I stated before, I believe the UAE, like the previous situation we had before, like the pandemic, the financial crisis, the UAE can overcome those challenges with more opportunities to growth, also adding that investment in, as my colleague said, digitalization and building more infrastructure that will help to that growth and will attract back those businesses.
And Daniel.
Yeah, I think there's huge opportunity, as mentioned, for businesses that can be agile in this time when there has been a relative degree of upheaval, and especially for those firms that can kind of take advantage of the opportunities being presented by the government, by the authorities, by the big investment projects, the investment into developing data centers and AI and new knowledge-based industries. Any business that can take advantage of that, I think, will be in a good position.
Okay, well, thanks to each and every one of you. A big round of applause to our panelists for sharing such valuable insights there. We've got Danielle Hokayem, we've got Hassanein Alwan, Mohammed Salem, and Daniel Richards. Many thanks to all of you.
Thank you.
This has been a really valuable discussion. As we said, Dubai is open for business. It's readiness, it's confidence, you might say. It's resilience and also innovation in continuing all coming together to keep business moving here. I'm now going to hand you back to Ted for some final few words.
Thank you, Katie. So we have 1 minute left, so it's very unlike us to be on time, so I'm going to try and keep to that if I possibly can. A couple of things to say is that we are going to send out a survey to all of those in the room and those online. This is about you coming back to us, because I think what this has been driven by is you asking us the questions and us trying to give the answers. I think that's lines of communications are going to be open throughout now. We're going to be very proactive. As I said, DSV are going to host the first workshop, which is going to be around logistics, because even Hassanein mentioned that on the panel. So I think it's kind of an important and critical part of our journey that we need to address specifically. So please, on the survey, there's an email address as well where you can answer any questions, but there's also going to be an open text box where you can answer any questions. And then what we'll do is we'll consolidate all the questions in the next few days, and then we'll come back to you with any answers. And we'll also allow that to shape the next one of these that we do. I'm not sure we can do this again because You know, it's not fair to ask DXB Live and DWTC, but we'll definitely find the best platform to continue to share the information. What I said at the start is that we don't want to sell you anything, but I just stood at the back of the room and I just thought to myself that it is quite salesy, but that's because we're here, and particularly those guys online aren't. And I really wish, Wolfgang, I know, is not on the call, so I wish that I could fly you all out so you can actually feel it, but that would cost me my job, so I'm not going to do that. But it's a shame that you can't feel the city and the vibrancy around it and the recovery that's already started. People say that Dubai will bounce back. I'm not sure it's actually been anywhere. I think we're just getting stronger and stronger and stronger as a country. And as I said at the beginning, I'm immensely proud of what we are as a company, the partnerships that we have. For those of you in the room, lunch will be served. What I will promise, those of you online, when you come to the shows, I will buy you a lunch, because I feel we can't provide you with a virtual lunch. That's one of the good things about being a face-to-face organisation. But for those of you staying in the room, lunch will be ready and served in 10 minutes. For all of you, I'm blessed with an amazing team. And I just want to close with, for Mike, Flynn, Jemana, Fabio, everybody involved in creating this, I really appreciate all the hard work and effort and the platform you've put in place for us to share information. It's a journey we'll continue. Thank you to our partners, Dubai World Trade Center, DXB Live, the panel, Katie, His Excellency, everybody's been absolutely amazing. So I really hope that we've given you some kind of idea of what's going on here. Like I said, we don't have all the answers, but what I will say is that at Messe Frankfurt Middle East, we're ready. Dubai is ready. So when you're ready, we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Thank you very much. Take care. Safe travels.